Commissioner Wills gonna say it first.
Bring it around. Cool. Join us in prayer. Father, we come to you tonight, Lord. Father, we ask you today, Lord, it's 9/11 in our history of our country, Lord. Be with the ones that lost their lives and their families, Lord. Bring them the peace that only you can. Father, be with our first responders. Keep them safe as they do what they do daily. Father, making sure that we're all safe in all that we do. Our sheriff's department, Lord, our EMS, our fire departments. Father, be with us tonight as we make the decisions that best fit the people of Hendry County, Lord. Give us the wisdom we need and the knowledge, Father, to make the right decisions, Father. I pray, Father God, for our military, past, present, and future, ever put on a uniform to protect our rights to stand here tonight, Father, in your presence. And Lord, I just pray tonight, thy kingdom come and thy will be done in all things, that you always receive the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held Monday, September 11th at 6 p.m. in the City Commission Chambers in Clewiston, Florida. In attendance are Chairperson Emma Byrd, Vice Chair Mitchell Wills, Commissioner Emery Howard, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Attorney Matt Rollerson, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, and Deputy Clerk Sharon Congleton.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Board of County Commissioner. If you have any devices, we ask that you silence them for us, please. And if you have not already filled out a card, we'll ask you to do so and give it to the clerk. Thank you so much. First thing up is the budget. The bids, I'm sorry. It's the bids.
On 2023-16, the Henry Regional Medical Center bid as received.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wills. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
You want the next one, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Madam Chair, on item 2023-18, jail inmate pharmaceutical services, unless there was discussion and rejection of it, I know that it looked to me through reading the write-ups that Westwood Pharmacy came out as number one, but I also would like to point out that it's jail inmate pharmacy, and the gentleman that was working directly with the jail had K&M ranked as number one, K&M being a local entity. I'd make a motion to approve them, but I'm open for any discussion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner, any other comments? Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wills. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands.
So, go ahead, Matt.
I wanted,
What do you-
yeah, I'm not sure, I'm not clear what the motion was. Are we?
Okay.
To go with the number two rank. So I want to be honest with y'all. The ranking committee, to me, did y'all see the write-up? Is it clear? Am I missing something? It gives us a ranking, but
Doesn't give us a price.
it kind of is a bit ambiguous a little bit. And so, in running the numbers and looking at what we have there, my suggestion was, in adding up the ones and the twos and all of that, I wanted to go, I assume that's the second ranked firm, K&M Drugs.
And I'm in agreement with you, unless the sheriff department foresaw a problem with them, I would go local. That's the reason why I voted the way I voted.
That was
The
a motion.
policy, the concern is that the policy doesn't really allow us to go, unless they're within, the local preference policy is within 10%. And I don't know if the numbers were included in the
No, just the
agenda
ranking.
item.
It was just a ranking, there was no.
I think Ian may have those numbers if you want to see more specific numbers. But what I would, if the board would like to pursue that, I think what the required action would be to reject all of the bids and then give staff direction about how to proceed with a waiver of our purchasing policy.
Then what I would like to do, Madam Chair, is then I will rescind my initial motion, and I will make a second motion to reject all bids and ask staff to work with K&M Drugs. And in the future, when we have these, I'd like to see what the amount, it just kind of has a blanket, all of amount varies. There was a lot of, I don't think non-needed information, check marks, and I know I'm being very critical right now, and I'm not trying to be that way. It's just
trying to delve into what was discussed here, it doesn't seem like it's clear. Whereas when we looked at the medical service provided, it was clear as the big nose on my
Do
face.
we don't have the numbers?
You have the numbers.
Ian Provers for the record. I have some just comparisons. I don't actually have the sheets showing all the totals.
Then we don't need it. If we don't
I'll
have.
second that motion, Ms. Byrd.
So we're gonna go with, rejecting all bids, bring it back to the board with directions.
A motion should be to
I,
waive.
I would say
Waive.
to waive the current big practice, and I would direct staff to sit with K&M Drugs, and Ms. Davis, to me, I want to go a step further. I want to sit with K&M Drugs, the county administrator, and the jail person who is running that, right? And if we have a problem, and if the jail is saying, guys, you know, we have it right here in black and white. This number's X and this number's X, and we're getting raped and pillaged. Then y'all come back to us and say, let's get on down the road with them. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what we're going to find. And I would love to know if, you know, are we able to run it the generic every time? You know, are there things that we're able to do? And that's where I think when we have a local entity like this, it's going to be to our advantage. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know what y'all think. So.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wells, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you,
Apologize for
Ian.
swallowing so weird. My throat's killing me.
We are going to pull C1 for discussion, so Raymond can withdraw from it.
Motion to approve the remainder.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wills, second by Commissioner Howell, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands.
And I want to
Raymond.
be clear, I had to abstain from that vote.
I need a motion.
You're just talking about you had to abstain from C1 and let's move
C1,
forward.
that's the only reason
I
why
make
I
a
was
motion to
pulled.
approve C1 as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wells, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. Thank you so much. We're gonna move down to the awards, and we're gonna have a proclamation from Commissioner Howell.
A proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Hendry County, Florida, in honor of Patriot Day and National Day of Service and Remembrance of September 11th, 2001. Whereas Patriot Day and National Day of Service and Remembrance is dedicated in solemn remembrance of the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. And whereas on September 11th, 2001, America lost nearly 3,000 innocent men, women, children, first responders, heroes, and patriots in the worst terrorist attack in our history. And whereas on that fateful day, 4 jet planes were hijacked and crashed into the World Trade Center in New York City and the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. A 4th plane, United Airlines Flight 93, was directed at Washington, D.C., but its passengers bravely attempted to take back control, and the plane crashed in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And whereas the sacrifice made by heroic passengers, firefighters, police officers, EMTs, construction workers, colleagues, and strangers remind us of the courageous and tenacious character of our citizens and our nation. And whereas in remembrance and honor of the innocent victims and sacrifices made by first responders who lost their lives and all of the families left behind, let our nation continue to emerge stronger and more resilient by serving our communities and lifting up our fellow citizens, and let us carry on the legacy of our heroic patriots. And now therefore, the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners, Hendry County, Florida, does hereby proclaim September 11th, 2023 as Patriot Day and National Day of Service and Remembrance, and asks all residents of Hendry County to pause and reflect on this somber day in our nation's history, duly considered and adopted by the Board of County Commissioners of Hendry County, Florida, the 11th day of September 2023. And now if you'd stand and just have a moment of silence and remembrance of those lives lost. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have, is anyone from here from Harry Chapman Food Bank? We're gonna read a proclamation off for you. County of Henry County, State of Florida, a proclamation of Board of County Commissioners of Henry County. Food recognized the month of September as Hunger Action Month, whereas food is a basic necessity needed for every living creature, and whereas Harry Chapman Food Bank is the largest hunger relief nonprofit of the only Feeding America member in South Florida serving Henry County, and whereas 2 million pounds of food was distributed by Harry Chapman Food Bank in Henry County during 2022. And whereas this September, we ask you to join the fight to end hunger. Your power, your voice, actions, and commitment will ensure nobody ever has to make an impossible choice between food and other necessities such as medicine, utilities, or child care. And whereas the citizens of Henry County urge to validate
volunteers and donate during Henry Hunger Action Month to join the fight to end hunger in Henry County. Wherein Henry County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of September 2023 the Hunger Action Month, duly submitted and adopted by the Board of County Commissioners of Henry County, Florida, this 11th day of the month, 2023. Thank you so much.
For the record, I'm Janet Papanoff. I'm the grants manager for Harry Chapin Food Bank of Southwest Florida, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Thank you very, very much.
Nice to see you, and thank you for all you
It's
do.
good to see you. I did have a strip. I'm trying to find it, y'all. I got so much stuff.
Great to see you, Ms. Papanoff.
Well, in a minute, I'll find a strip that was given to me that was eaten up with the papers. So if you just bear with me a minute.
We've got one before that.
Okay.
Ryan can go ahead and
Okay,
start
Ryan, if
his.
you would go
Yes,
ahead,
ma'am.
please, because it's somewhere in the stack.
Good evening. For the record, Ryan Alexander, Director of Planning and Community Development for Hendry County. This is our transmittal hearing for our future land use amendments that we've been working on. Planning and Zoning has been working on for the past 2 years now. I've been working on it for about a year since I started. And we're finally at the point where we're going to be transmitting the proposed amendments to the state and then bringing back before the board for adoption at a later date. And going through the process, we also identified some LDC amendments that we needed to make, and I'll be bringing up those as we move through the slides. The overarching changes that we made within the future land use element, the first one, we assigned an urban, suburban, and rural land use classification to each future land use category. This allows us to designate them based on density and intensity of use, make sure that each of the classifications fit within the area that we have them assigned. We added an infrastructure policy that also includes broadband services and make sure that the infrastructure is allowed in every category within the county and there aren't any issues with that. The residential and mixed use elements, we added a policy in that allows agricultural uses on any parcels that are zoned A2, regardless of the future land use element. This ensures that those agricultural uses that are in existence right now will continue and be allowed to continue. Our residential elements require a certain amount of open space. This has been in place for every development that we have coming in, but we split that up between open space and usable open space. The board indicated at our last workshop that the recreational elements within some of these developments wasn't adequate for the development that was coming in. This usable open space will require them to have recreational elements within that open space for development that's coming in, especially for residential developments as they move into the county. We also worked with the Harlem community to specifically address some of their needs within the urban mixed use element. We worked them on integrating some of the live-work scenarios for the small lots that they have, and also some of the requirements for that community are a little bit different within that element to help them as they move forward with commercial growth and residential growth within that community. The FELDA overlay, in working with them, we wanted to limit the size of single-tenant commercial buildings so they didn't have large box stores or something like that coming into the FELDA community. We also worked with them on updating some of the policies for commercial growth along State Road 29. As you know, currently we have a gateway overlay for State Road 80 and State Road 27, and FELDA has expressed an interest in extending that gateway overlay to State Road 29 as well. In going through that, we identified some of the land development code amendments that we need. Some of the requirements within that gateway overlay, I feel like overburdening to small businesses and to local businesses that want to start. So I want to work on those requirements before we extend this over to State Road 29 to make sure that these small businesses can open and they're not hindered from opening within our corridor, especially on State Road 80. I have a lot of people come in, they look at the requirements, they're not able to meet them, and I want to make sure we're addressing those before we move this to State Road 29.
Thank you, Ryan, for taking that into consideration.
The water and sewer policy was updated. As Port LaBelle's growing and we have our water and sewer lines that are running down State Road 80 right now to the Lee County line, some of those had policies that were reflected currently, but we wanted to make sure they fit in with the future land use element policies and the water and sewer connection policies that have come down from the state recently, and also just from the county and our conservation policies and our connection, especially as we're looking at this growth right now in capacity. The residential elements, we increased the allowable density from 12 dwelling units to 15 dwelling units. This is only accomplished through a planned unit development rezone, so the board will have the opportunity to address any compatibility or appropriateness concerns that they have for those developments that have those high intensities. The Western Hendry Planning Overlay has been significantly amended to accurately reflect what I believe is the growth that we have planned and the current growth, the infrastructure and the services that we have planned and that are currently over, especially north of the river. We had a large area that was designated as the Western Hendry Planning Overlay, but I thought the allowances within there really didn't fit within the services that we have and the services that we're looking at providing. So we altered those, and we also carved out some of those existing low and medium density communities that are within that area to protect them and make sure they didn't have high density growth moving in on top of them. We added smart growth principles and resiliency principles in relation to flood protection, and as we're developing and protecting our urban, suburban, and rural communities as they're starting to grow and push out into our farmlands. The residential future land uses, we combined the residential rural estates and residential low density into a rural community category. A lot of the allowances within those were redundant, and we didn't change really anything as we combined them. The maximum density is still 1 dwelling unit per acre. The only thing that we did is we added a non-residential neighborhood and convenience commercial component at an intersection somewhere. They could put in a gas station or put in a convenience store to service the needs, especially in our rural communities, to have some of that convenience that we're seeing come in with the Dollar Generals and things like that. The residential medium density category was renamed to suburban mixed use. And again, the density can be increased, but it has to be increased through a planned unit development, so the board will be able to address that when that comes before them. The residential high density category was renamed to urban mixed use. Again, this is where we increased that maximum density, and then we also added a minimum density for these areas to encourage utilizing those services and the infrastructure that's in place in these high density areas, and then also making sure that we don't have a lot of urban sprawl. This minimum requirement makes sure that we're utilizing those spaces to the best of their ability. Residential pre-existing rural estates, nothing changed within that. We just renamed it to rural legacy communities. For our multi-use development element, we renamed it to mixed use centers. We also worked through the densities in there to allow some residential densities within those mixed use developments, and also allowed recreational vehicle parks within that category as well. You'll see on the north side of 80 across from Old Florida RV, we expanded those mixed use development areas. And there's a couple of other areas that we're already developing as mixed use centers that we went ahead and expanded and allowed them to continue moving forward without having to come in and do a comprehensive plan on top of the rezone. The commercial future land use category, we added limited light industrial uses. These are indoor industrial uses that are very compatible with and actually less intensive than even some of our high intensity commercial uses. So we included that within the commercial future land use category. We also added some limited residential uses within the category. Again, just to encourage some of that mixed use and making sure that we have infill within some of our developments. The FAR can be increased. Again, they have to meet conditions. That is based on water and sewer availability and different requirements within the commercial future land use. The industrial future land use, we added tiers. This is similar to how we have I-1 and I-2 zoning designations within the county. We have light industrial and heavy industrial zoning. This just brings it kind of into line with what we had in our LDC. And again, for those heavy uses, we are requiring PUD rezone. That way we can address the uses, especially for like a concrete plant, a mining use, something that's going to have definitely impact the surrounding properties. We also added commercial uses within those industrial developments. Again, if you have an industrial park or something that's growing within the county, this would allow them to have a deli or a gas station or something for the workers within that industrial development. The agricultural future land use, we extended this to 3 tiers. That way we could address each tier individually through permitted by right, special exceptions. And that 3rd tier now is the very intense uses or non-agricultural uses that are allowed in ag. They are only required through a PUD rezone. In working through the agricultural future land use, we had a lot of requirements for agricultural worker camps. And I'm working with the LDC to make sure those are all the same. But we're working on within the comprehensive plan amendment, we'll be splitting them into agricultural worker camps and agricultural worker housing. The camps will be the higher densities and workers that are housed at one location and working on another site. That way we can address those worker camps through a PUD. Whereas the agricultural worker housing would be something that's within the allowable density for the agricultural piece of property and would be allowed by right. That way you can have your farm hands, people like that that are on the farm, not so much transient workers or the agricultural worker camps that we think about, but they can be working on the farm and live on the farm. We also added minimum open space requirements for commercial uses and for the agricultural worker camps. The leisure recreation future land use category is closed to future map amendments. We have moved the allowances into that mixed use category. And since we're closing it to future map amendments, the existing resorts that are within that category are grandfathered in. There'll be no changes to the density or anything like that since it is closed. The public future land use category, we added tiers again. The first tier is allowed by right or as a special exception. And that tier 2 use, again, those high intensity uses that might have impacts to neighboring properties would have to go through the rezone process to PUD. We also clarified some of the location standards for some of the future land uses, some of those land uses within the public category to make sure that we were locating them in places that was appropriate, and then clarified it was a little bit unclear as far as where you could have them and what you could have. Moving into the maps, we have the current West Hendry map. This is the way it looks right now. The proposed map, again, it reduces the West Hendry overlay to better reflect current and projected public services and infrastructure. We also expanded our rural communities category to, again, include some of those low and medium density communities and protect them that are within, especially the riverfront properties along the Caloosahatchee River. We also expanded our mixed use and commercial areas along the State Road 80 corridor. That's what I was talking about a minute ago. The purple section above State Road 80 and that long red section is commercial. They were both agricultural future land uses, and as we're encouraging growth along the corridor, we changed them to mixed use and commercial. The current Montura Ranch Estates and Felda community maps, and then the proposed maps for Montura and Felda. We have shown the areas that you can have non-residential uses, commercial uses, and showed them on the map so that overlay is easy to reference. You can look on there and know whether or not your property is within the overlay or not to have those commercial uses.
Brian, on the proposed Montura map, the clubhouse, which would be considered public, still isn't changed to purple. So it would be basically in where the red section is.
Okay.
You take it all the way east. That parcel is the Central County Water Control District clubhouse and park. So that
Okay.
one needs to be highlighted
Yes, sir.
in purple.
On some of the maps, there are a couple parcels that I'm still working with to get them changed over. I've been working with Shane on some of them, but I didn't have that one, so thank you. I'll make sure that clubhouse gets switched over.
Have that wrong. Mine's blurry, so you're good. That you've got it in the.
Is it the purple right there? Okay, all right,
It's just on here when it gets a little distorted as you expand it.
all right. So we're good on that then, Commissioner? All right, awesome. For Banyan Village and Pioneer, these are the current maps. The proposed maps have include the commercial areas within each of the developments. For Pioneer, we've included the areas that have either gone through a comprehensive plan amendment or they have a commercial use in place. We also showed the parks and other publicly owned properties as public. There is one edit on the Banyan Village map. There's another piece of property right beside that public property, centrally located, that will be changed over to public as well. You'll see in Banyan Village and Port LaBelle that we have identified the commercial designations that were within the original plats. This is to make sure that we're not infilling these with residential elements. As these communities continue to grow, we want to make sure that they have places that they can have commercial opportunities to reduce the trips coming back and forth into and through LaBelle. There are no changes proposed to the Everglades area maps. We are waiting to see the decision from Everglades, and then we can move forward with those amendments. This is the current Port LaBelle area map and the proposed map, again, calling out those public and commercial areas. Then we also cleaned up some of the properties north of the river to make sure they accurately reflected the growth and the development that we've been seeing along that corridor. This is the Harlem and Hookers Point area map. So we have, again, made sure that we called out the publicly owned properties and designated them as public. And also, as I said earlier, worked with the Harlem community to expand some of those opportunities within their community, and that is specifically designated within the urban mixed-use category. We also expanded the mixed-use category along 835 and Sonora Avenue. Again, this was something that has been developing, so we're just bringing it in line with the current development and also the projected development that we've had recently. And those are the overview of the edits, and I can take any questions if you guys have any.
No, I'm good. You've done a good job through all these workshops. Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak on behalf of item CPA 23-002? Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to transmit option one, approve option one, transmit county-initiated petition CPA 23-0002.
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We're about to go into our budget hearing. We have now opened the public hearing to the Henry County Board of Commissioners tenant budget for fiscal year 2023, 24 pursuant to Florida statute section 200.065. The first item of business is to adopt the tenant millage rate. The rollback rate is 6.3410 millage. The proposal millage rate is 7.1, which is 11.97% more than the rollback rate. The reason for the abnormal tax revenue increase are employee cost of living, salary increase, and health insurance and property and collision insurance premium increase. This is a public hearing. Is there any public comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
do we have any speaker cards?
yes.
We have them about budget, they just want to talk about general stuff.
It's not all about the
Cost
taxes.
of tax, yeah.
Okay. At this time, we're gonna call Mr. David McCall. No?
Very good.
Thank you. We ask that you be respectful and keep your time down to 3 minutes, please.
I'm not really good at speaking, so I wrote some stuff down. to
That'll
try
be
to read
fine. Thank you.
it.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
David McCall. And I just started reading it. It's kinda
That's
short.
fine. Thank you.
I'm here because I can't sleep. My world has been turned upside down. So I am here to plead my case to y'all. And all I did was trust my property appraiser's office. That's all I did. My dad, let me get to the next page. I hope there's still a little integrity in this county. I really do. My father passed away. He had a homestead on the house he lived in. Lawyers had set it up, and then they put it in my trust. Once he died, it was in my trust. I had homestead on the house that I lived in. So I went to the property appraiser's office to see my options. I learned now my option should have just been do nothing. I said, should I join the property back together? I asked the lady. The lady said, no, keep it like it is. You might want to subdivide it one day. Made sense. She said, it doesn't matter which home has homestead. The only thing that going to change is about $500 on my taxes. Everything would stay the same on all my taxes. We were looking at about 4 of them, and plus my dad would be 5 of them on the same piece of property. I have a store and some commercial land. Okay. And so I said, she asked me which one did I want to leave the homestead on. I said, okay, leave it on my dad if it's not going to affect me. And remember, guys, I make $1,100 a month, Social Security and what little bit I can make working. Why would I sign on to something that's going to cost me thousands and thousands of dollars? Then I got hit with a 6551 tax bill. So I went to ask why it was. I was told you lost your homestead, and if you can't afford it, it's a good time to sell. Now, I bought a place in 94. I have built a lot of stuff there for me to spend my old age at. I have me a little workshop, a mechanic shop, and now I'm going to have to sell out, it looks like, and go somewhere. And now I get another notice. You are raising them again to $7,280 a year. How can someone like me afford that? And I've got a lot of years built in this place. Does that make sense to anybody? Guess not. I work hard. I always do the right thing. Why are y'all trying to strip me of what I worked on so long? I'm going to give it up. What do y'all think?
Any comment?
I'm fixing to lose everything. I'm going to have to sell it. I can't pay them kind of taxes. And it probably wouldn't even be that if the lady would have just told me, just don't do nothing. It'd probably be around $4,000.
Have you,
It's the exemption.
The homestead exemption, losing the exemption.
Right.
They took mine, but they should have told me. I went there trusting that they would tell me
the right way to
the
do
right way to go, and they didn't. And then they told me if I can't afford it, it's a good time to sell, is the words that Miss Pittman said. And I actually voted for her because of her last name, just like I vote for you, because I like to keep things local. But
So, yeah, I see multiple properties that he's got.
it's all one piece, though, basically. I
Well, they've
bought it
got
from
'em-
First Bank.
Yeah, I see 4 different parcels under, actually kind of a little bit different names and different trusts. There's 2 that show homestead and 2 that don't, so I'm not even sure how you're having 2 with homestead, because you should only be able to have
Have
1,
one.
so
Should only
that's
have
really a property appraiser issue, not,
Looks like they ain't updated something there. Can you give me the addresses on the
well, I've
two?
got 2470 Hendry Isles Boulevard, then there's one that says just Hendry Isles Boulevard, neither one of those collect homestead. The next one says 2490 Hendry Isles
That's the only
Boulevard,
one this homestead is on.
and then that last one doesn't even show an address unless I pull it up, but.
And the homestead originally was on the one with no address in the 2470. But they told me, no,
Yeah,
it
I see
don't
two.
matter. So I said, okay, leave it on put it on my dad's then.
Is that the most expensive property?
Madam Chair,
No,
Yes.
the
Go ahead.
2470 is the expensive property.
very familiar with Mr. McCaw's area out there. And, you know, he's
I don't know how many generations you've been here. I know your daddy built my daddy's house. So, long story long, Mr. Elton built a ton of places around here. Long story long, Mr. McCall, I would encourage you to engage the bill, but I think that there's a way for you to sit with the property appraiser and to look at your entire
tried, sir.
portfolio. I think you need to have another conversation with them. I don't think that horse has completely left the barn and is in the race and there's no way to bring it back in. I think that you need to have that conversation. And I think that if you know, obviously, if the answer ultimately turns out that that's where it is, you know, I don't know if there's a tool in the toolbox for you to be able to address the homestead exemption issue and be able to retroactively engage that. But I think you need to have that conversation with the property appraisers. I think that this is an item that doesn't necessarily pertain to us, but I don't like that answer because it sounds like we're just passing the buck or kicking the can down the road, as Trish Chapman used to say all the time. And so I think if you don't like the answer that you get from Ms. Pittman, or more importantly, you feel as if you're not able to comprehend all of the details associated with, I think that you know, I can help engage that conversation with you, or we can help somebody to sit with you as well to have that conversation, because you know, I understand what you're saying. The distress factor is high. You don't want to lose your property. You don't want to have anything foreclosed on for lack of paying a bill. But I think there's a way to engage this. So I don't think there's only one way to skin this cat, is what I'm saying.
Or go back and try to talk to her again.
Yes, sir. And I think you lay all your cards on the table. And you know, I can't guarantee anything, but I just feel that, you know, no good deed goes unpunished. So
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. And Mr. McCall, also, you have the opportunity, if that does not work out, the Value Adjustment Board is there for this reason.
Thank you,
to
guys.
challenge what those values are on everything.
That's
anyway.
correct.
Yes, sir.
It wouldn't have came out like this, though. My taxes would still be affordable for me, even though I struggle to make them. If they would have just told me, don't do nothing, leave it the way it is, I wouldn't be in this position.
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McCall.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Next up is, Hugo for gas.
Hugo Vargas. City Commissioner Hugo Vargas.
For the record, Hugo Vargas, City of LaBelle, representing myself today, not the city. I was in such a hurry to get out here that I forgot my notes. Luckily, my son was still at home and screenshotted them a little bit for me. So I'm here, guys, because on August 26th, I was on my way to the beach with my wife, and I got an email from Representative Mello's email chain, right? I read a headline that made me raise an eyebrow, and it said that Collier County had become the first Bill of Rights sanctuary county in the nation. So I opened it up and I started reading through it, and I started watching the meetings and reading more and more articles on it. What I found out was that Commissioner Chris Hall was the one that proposed the ordinance. He ran on, he won that seat, and he ran on being able to stop government overreach.
Madam Chair, is this in
No,
reference?
it should have been taxes,
tentative
but
millage?
no, it
Okay,
wasn't.
all
So
right.
I'm gonna let him go on.
Yes, ma'am.
because-
Yes, ma'am. Just wanted to make
Yes.
sure. Thank you.
It's
Thank
not you, it's, anyway, go ahead on.
Okay, so he proposed this bill or this ordinance just to fight government overreach, smaller government, common sense, less control, and the injustice the people faced by the federal government and the three-letter agencies during the COVID pandemic. Some would say plandemic. Okay, so there was a lot of, went back and watched a 3-hour meeting that they had on August 22nd when it passed. There was 58 public speakers there. Some notables were a representative from Senator Bob Rommel's office, from Byron Donald's office, and a couple others. There was attorneys from both sides of the issue speaking. There was a lot of misinformation. What it's not, what this bill is not, or this ordinance is not a cherry picking procedure of what laws we like and what laws we don't like from the federal government. It is not us succeeding from Florida or from the union. Okay, it's not the Board of County Commissioners saying what's constitutional and what is not. And it's not a political thing either. Okay, the Constitution is colorblind. It has a Bill of Rights that apply to us all. Okay, what it's establishing is that no matter what happens in Washington, D.C., or in Tallahassee for that matter, as long as the laws that are passed are constitutional, we will abide by it. Okay? Power needs to be with the people. It needs to protect the people. That any law that comes down that is unconstitutional, therefore being unlawful, we shall stand up and fight against. The people created the states.
1 minute.
Independent sovereign states of the U.S. of America, United States of America. The states created the federal government. The people give the feds their power, and as long as it's constitutional, we will yield that power to the federal government. How it applies to us here in Hendry County, guys, if you guys are paying attention, commissioners, mandates, lockdowns are on the horizon. It won't be long before we will be required all again to mask up, to maybe not be able to work, to mask up our kids at school. I was one of the ones that went before the school board to say enough is enough. It's time to unmask our kids. This pandemic is over, okay? And so I do not want to see us head in that route again, okay? So I am asking you guys to consider looking into and following Collier County's lead on this issue. I spoke to Sheriff Whidden. He says any extra layers of protection, he gladly welcomes. So I did send this information to each one of you, except you, Mrs. Byrd. I'm sorry I didn't have your number or information at the time, but I can get that to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the
Thank
information.
you. Good.
I apologize, guys. I put that in between the budget meeting. We have one more speaker, Ms. Hernandez. And let's take heed to what the commissioner just brought to our attention.
Hi, my name is Osiris Hernandez, and I'm from La Belle. Take me half of my time in this beautiful country to have a property. It's really hard for us Mexicans when we come and pick tomatoes to have a property, to have that kind of money, you know. Finally, we made it. Since we bought that property on 2012, a lot of things happened, like the owner sold the property to me, and then she owes money, so I paid the property twice. I paid for a lawyer, and I lost. So in the end, I said, okay, well, I pay everything, so everything is gonna be fine from now and then. Since few years ago, the taxes go up like crazy. It's really hard for me, especially now. I used to work a lot, like 11 months and 2 weeks a year, Sundays, Saturdays, my birthday, everybody's birthday. But now I know a lot of people from on 29, that I live in 29 South. I almost pay $3,400 per year for taxes for my property. I lost one of my mobile homes in one hurricane. Takes me 7 years to fix that mobile home again. I have to do it because I got a big family. So these people from the office of, how do they go? The appraisers?
Property appraiser.
Yes. They come every year, every 2 years, 3 times in the same month. They go inside the property. One of those guys go inside one of my mobile homes, and we got him on camera, okay? Because it take us 10 years to get cameras, but we got him on camera. And he's like, no, I didn't. And I say, well, we got you on camera, see? And this place, everybody can have a gun. Imagine if I'm alone, and you just come inside, and I shoot you, because I don't know who you are. So they never stop. They called me on the phone when I was in Mexico having a heart attack to ask me if they can come again. What are they looking for? Why do they want to be there every 3 months in my house I don't know. But 3 years ago, I paid $3,000. 2 years ago, I paid $2,500, something like that. This year, it's gonna be almost $3,400.
Are you homestead?
I apply once, but I don't know if they qualify or not. She told me it was. I don't know. It went down from 1,200 to 925 for 1 year, and then up, and they never stop. So I don't understand why my property is going up, and my neighbors are not. Like, I'm doing really bad. What I'm doing wrong, I don't know. See, I fixed my mobile home, yes. They never come to ask me if I need help. They never come to ask me to offer me anything. I did it by myself, working every single day. So because I fixed my mobile home, they say now my property got more, how do you say?
Value.
Yes,
Assessed value.
value. So my neighbor is not just besides me, but it's close to me. One of the florists got a property the same size I do, a big house on it. He not even paid the third part of I'm going to pay this year. What I can do about it? There's nothing I can do.
What's your address, Ms. Hernandez?
It's 6433.
Say it again.
State Road 29?
Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
First thing, to find out if you have property appraisal, to have the homestead on there, because that will give you a.
It is homestead.
It is homestead. I'm like them, you feel like you're pushing everybody off, but there's nothing we could do as a commissioner, but you have to go back and sit with them and get the better understanding of what they're doing and why they're doing it, so you can see, because they're human too, and they might make an error too, so, you have to go back.
Okay.
And it's for you to benefit you. Don't accept what they tell you. Let them explain to you, and take somebody with you that's a little bit more, that understand the taxes,
Okay.
Fine.
Watch it. Pull it up. Raymond's got it.
So, I mean, just by scanning it without having them side by side, I mean, I don't see much of a difference. I mean, you do understand that on your tax bill, it's not just Hendry County. You have the school board, you have the water management district, you have mosquito, fire, there's all these categories. So you kind of need to break it out and look at them side by side to see what that difference is. And then just scanning it, I can't do that right now. But have you gone to the property appraiser's office and meet with them?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Okay.
And they just tell me, we're going there because we want to help you. I don't know how. They didn't help me. They didn't help me with anything, because if my taxes go up every year, I don't see the help.
And there's a statutory process to appeal the valuations. So, and it's a process, and it's, you may need some assistance kind of walking through that process, but there's a way to sort of challenge if you don't believe that they're fairly assessing your property as to value, there's an appeal process that you can go through.
Okay.
And they can give you that information, and they would give you that information, but
Okay.
Yeah, and I will say that just scanning the last 3 years, not counting this year, your assessed value's gone from 49,000 in 21, it went to 132,000, then 89,000. I mean, you've got some gyration there, and it probably has to do with you working on your property, making improvements on that property, which creates a higher assessed value. But it's going to be a property appraiser issue. It's nothing that we at the board level are able to do. We set millages and policies, but the assessed values is directed from the property appraiser's office, and it's done by what the market has been indicating as far as values of properties being sold in the area within the county. And then not only that, Dina just doesn't sign off on it, says that's it, you take it or leave it.
Yeah.
The state actually approved those
You have the
values through an audit
guideline.
process. So I know sometimes you don't like the values they submit, but based on the market share, that's really where you're at. But it sounds like you making improvements on your property with that home that was damaged during the storm.
Well, it was a deep property, like deep. We always got water like everywhere. So we put dirt, yeah. On 11 years, little by little. I do work so they can bring me dirt. we exchange things for this, not every time with money, but I understand that if I do improvement, the only thing we did over there is to put dirt.
But
So we
try
don't.
file the appeal and see what happens,
Okay.
At least try.
Okay.
To see what happens.
You got 100,000 increase since last year.
That's
Okay.
a lot.
You had around 40, year before last, and last year was 164, tax, went up $100,000. I don't,
That's a
hard to
lot.
see $100,000 fixing a trailer.
Or the one dwelling.
I would sit down and do the same thing, and as,
This is a homesteaded property, is it not?
yeah,
It's
Well,
homestead.
Save Our Homes only allows for a 3% increase regardless.
that's what I thought.
So it shouldn't, I mean, your assessed value versus what your increase is allowed to be on a homestead property, there's a cap.
I'm guessing, and without pulling it up, it looks like maybe with her remodeling that one unit that was damaged in a hurricane 7 years ago.
Well, you
that she
said that
rented
you
might
had
have just
another
caught it.
trailer that had damage.
We live in one trailer. The other trailer that we never lived, but it was a good trailer, but we never lived there because we didn't need it in that time. It was all destroyed for one hurricane.
So now it's fixed.
It's fixed.
Well, there's your, what year did that occur?
1968.
No. You didn't fix it in 1968.
When did you repair?
Oh, one year I fix it. It takes me, I finished last year.
Yeah, so
There
when
you
they
go.
kept coming out to inspect your home and they were noticing the progress
That's
and
it
where
right there.
before,
Oh, that's
they were
this.
noticing that it was, out
went
of
from one
commission,
dwelling
now
to
it's
two. Yeah.
livable. I'm sure that's what, I can't answer for them, but
Everything done?
that's what it's leaning towards.
Okay, so my choice now is go and talk to them again
I
and
still
see.
would do an appeal, because everything doubled. So
Okay.
I still would do the appeal.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
your
ma'am.
time.
Thank you for coming.
5 on each month.
It's a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? Thank you. You have a card, Ms. Post? You'll give it to her for me, please? Is this concerning the taxes? Is it some? Okay, thank you. I don't want to make that error that I just made.
Fred Bosley for the record. And I reckon whenever you're sitting up here now, you don't realize how thin things are get whenever you retire. And some of the people have, just like Mr. McCall, and there's plenty others, and it not only in Pioneer, but every place else is pinching pennies just to try to get by. And I know our assessments are going to go up because people are coming in and building expensive, nice houses and upgrading the communities. But it seemed like here last year, didn't we go through the recreation and solid waste assessment to raise that up last year? And we're going up against another contract to do it this year?
We didn't raise the recreation.
We're going into our last year, we'll go out in 2024, September.
Preparing the RFP.
This term, but for next year.
Have to be under contract by October 1st.
Okay, all right, good, because it's one of the assessments that's going to be agreed on this assessment.
I think he's talking about the MSBU, Mr. Parker.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to agree to this.
Okay. And it seems like this past year was 5 years that it was up for a portion of our road to be re-asphalted. And people are coming to me and they say, well, where's the money at? Where are they spending it at? I told them it was 5 years. Is that 5 years up last year?
Are you talking about Henry Isles, Mr. Bogan?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Henry Isles is underway to, it will be let, Shane, in this fiscal.
The board approved the agreement and we got it executed. We actually approved it before July. And then after July 1, they gave us the executed agreement. We're preparing an RFQ to issue for a design consultant. So it'll be moving.
Well, if you have a pickup truck or a vehicle with a trailer, you'll see that that road, the base of it is improper to start off with. It'll jar your neck. I'm used to it. It's better than what we had when I moved up here. It was a dirt road and had potholes in it every place, and I have to answer to a lot of people every once in a while. I know back maybe a couple years ago, our commissioner asked for the expenditures for Pioneer and Felda on our
On the MSBU, Mr. Bosley?
no, not on the MSBU. It was on recreation.
Yes, sir.
And that hit the fan.
But we
Well,
haven't been up on that.
I would like to see if they could give you a printout that you could bring to us on what the expenditures are for road and bridge and other expenditures they are in Pioneer. And I imagine other communities would like the same thing, to see where our monies are going.
Yes, sir.
I know we have a fella in our community that wants to separate Pioneer, and that's ridiculous of trying to operate a little acreage that we have out there into self-supporting, and it won't happen. But that's about it on here, and I know that the contracts is just like negotiating, and they're going to go up.
Thank you so much.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bosley.
This is a public hearing. Is there any comments from the public at this time? I need a motion to approve the excuse me. Well, just for the budget, you want to speak, and I can pull you in at the end. I don't have a card on you, but, okay, but at the end, if you like to speak, I'll make space for you. No, ma'am, we're talking about the budget, just the budget.
The
piece.
millage.
The millage part, that's it. Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve the resolution adoption of the tenant millage rate of 7.1000.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the millage at 7.100.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Howell. I have a motion to adopt the rate of 7.100, which is 11.97% more than the rollback rate. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. The next item up for business to adopt is the tenant budget. Approximately the revenue estimate for the budget for the fiscal year 2023-24 is approximately to be $108,664,766,000. This is a public hearing. Is there any public comments? Thank you. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve adoption of tentative budget for fiscal year 2023-24.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. Thank you all so much. So that was A and B, Jennifer, was that correct? B and C, I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we're in the millage? MSBU, I mean MSBU? Okay.
Mid-county.
Okay, Commissioner, Matt,
Ma-
the same, none of them changed?
County Attorney Matt Rogers, for the record, this, item D is for the MSBU's in which there was no proposed change in the assessment rate. And this can be done in one motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Before we do this, is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? She was addressing the MSBU, but there's no changes in it. Do you still wish to speak? There's no changes. Do you still wish to speak? I said there's no changes. Which, do you still wish to speak in the MSBU? There's no changes. There's no changes. No, ma'am.
And
Yes, ma'am.
I
No,
think she's here to
no.
speak on Mid-County.
Okay,
these,
Next one.
that's the
these
next
are
one, okay. So while we're waiting, can
These
you
are-
get a card for me
so that we can understand what
This is-
you. Okay, okay, and if they would fill out a card for me, I really would appreciate it, help me to know which direction we're going in, okay? Thank you. Who motioned that?
And Chair, this is the proposed MSBU's with no change in assessment rate is mosquito control, East Hendry County Recreational, West Hendry County Recreational, East Hendry County Fire, West Hendry County Fire, Solid Waste, Wheeler Road, Four Corners, Murray Road, Felda, Airport, Sears, Port LaBelle Utility District, Banyan Village, Sky Valley, Hookers Point Street Lighting, and East Hendry County Drainage District. There are five additional items of which there are proposed changes to MSBU, so I'm not sure which MSBU she was.
It's none
Here
of
to
these,
speak
so
on.
we're just gonna, who motioned this for me?
I did.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by
Motion by Commissioner
Commissioner House,
Iglesias.
all in, say it again?
Motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by
Commissioner House, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. She's gonna fill out a card so we can have a better direction, so we in the, mid-county.
Item E is the proposed Mid-County MSBU 2023 assessment resolution, which has the proposed assessment rates for the separate sections of that particular MSBU, Pioneer Plantation, Ever High Acres, Ladeka, and all the other lands, which all the other lands remaining the same.
Madam Chair, this will be affecting Ms. Harper. I think this is the issue that you probably would like to speak to, ma'am. Did you hear me, Ms. Harper? I think that this is the issue that you might want to be speaking to. I know that this is the item that will be affecting you. This is the Mid-County MSBU. Okay. So Pioneer Plantation, ag land with a permit, $17.50 per acre with a 1 acre minimum charge. It's going to stay the same. However, Pioneer Plantation, $35 per acre with a 1 acre minimum charge is now proposed to go to $45 with a 1 acre. Ever High, same thing, $35 to $45. Ladeka, $35 to $45. And then all other lands, $35 per acre with a 1 acre minimum charge remains the same.
So anyone from the public wish to speak, if you do, would you come up to the podium, state your name, and give her your card for me, please?
Madam Chair, do you have a motion on this yet?
No.
No.
Madam Chair, I would move item 1.
Good evening. My name is Caroline Bartha, 2100 Aldon Farming Road. And regarding the MSBU, I mean, it is a very large increase. I did look at the budget, the drainage and water control. It's already, I believe, where was it? $550,000 for Hendry County. I mean, it'd be nice for us to know where this money is going, what it'll be used for. I didn't see any budget, any proposals. It's a large amount of money for everybody in the room and the area. So it would help us to know what this money is going to be used for and what the plan is before it's enacted and voted upon.
Madam Chair, I think that will not happen tonight. They won't get that answer tonight. But I do think that's a 100% logical request. And I think that, Shane, we ought to prepare a community meeting. You want to jump into what you have there?
Shane Parker for the record. Her particular property is not having an assessment increase. That one's remaining the same at 35. We're not raising MSB rates on that one.
10-4. I still think the question remains $550K. Let's look at where we're spending it, and let's let the constituents know this is what their dollars are going to, and this is how we're expending them. I think it's a completely logical request, and I have complete confidence that you can show us that.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Thank you so much. Do I need a motion?
There's a motion by Commissioner
I don't know
Turner.
if you got a second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wiles. All in favor?
Aye.
Call you will. Motion stands. We in Port LaBelle now, assessments.
Yes, Chair, Port LaBelle Street Lighting, MSBU, item F.
Any comments, guys? This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? Did you fill out a card? The card is so important when you come in if you want to speak on anything because it helps give us directions on, pulling you up. So you're welcome to come and speak. Please fill out a card when you get finished and leave your name. Speak your name. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mavis Rodriguez. I've never been to a county commissioner meeting, so I wasn't sure how the cards work or where to find one. I did try. I live at 2150 State Road 29 South, between Helms Road Extension and the Green Apartments. And my taxes are going to be increasing due to lighting in Port LaBelle. But I don't live in Port LaBelle, so I don't quite understand why I'm getting charged for lighting when it doesn't affect me. And it's not lighting on my street. I don't live in that neighborhood, nothing. Thank you.
That address again is 2150 State Road 29 South, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You live by Green Tree, you said, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Between the Helms Road Extension and Green Tree Apartments on 26 acres.
Pretty good question.
No,
It's not,
it's
correct?
Port LaBelle.
I think that this is an error on just getting drawn into it, Ms. Mavis, but I could be incorrect.
Are you referring to a letter you received in your,
Yes, sir. That my taxes would be going up $150.
Due to the increase in that MSBU lighting district?
Yes.
Shane, we had this problem too when we instituted the Hookers Point. We had a handful of people that were
I did have
given it,
people call
and
me
they weren't in the zone, if you will.
I did have people call me, they really wasn't in the zone, so
Yes, sir.
Senaido?
Yep.
Okay, you're in the city of LaBelle.
Yes.
And you're being charged for, you may have got the letter by mistake, but you're not being charged for Port LaBelle lighting. You're being charged for LaBelle street lighting. It's not the
Okay.
county.
Okay. So I need to talk to my city commissioners about lighting? Is that what it says?
is that city she's in?
One that just hid back there.
Think so. And Hugo, if you wanna chew on him before he heads out of here,
Back there in the back, you don't have to go
y'all
that
can visit
far.
about sanctuary cities and the fact that they're getting ready to raise your taxes.
The one that crouched down in that bench? Hey, Hugo, can you raise your hand just for
When you-
record?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Ms.
Make
Mavis.
sure you leave that card, thank you so much. Glad it's on his behalf and not ours. So
Look
thank you.
at this. Where are you going, Hugo?
At this time, we, North LaBelle, MSBU,
Hugo won't be coming back.
okay, we on G
Did we-
now.
did we,
We didn't.
Okay.
was there a
Oh, we
motion?
did
or
not
approval?
vote? I need a motion.
You want to read that for record, or I'll read
Item
it from my
F.
district? Hey, I want to read something just for record. We had something submitted. I just got given. Okay.
You can submit it.
So this is a written objection from Danny O'Neill Jr. from Ramrod Circle in reference to the proposed increase to any non-ad valorem assessments. Number one, Port LaBelle Streetlight MSBU. Streetlights in the area of Ramrod Circle have not been operable for over 2 years. Port LaBelle should refund the current portions they have received. Okay, I don't know if he's contacted anybody at staff. I haven't heard anything from it. Number two, Mid-County MSBU. Will the residents be receiving a refund of credit for enduring the flooding caused by lack of maintenance which resulted in flooding in 2023? So,
Absolutely not.
yeah. So we strongly oppose any and all proposed non-ad valorem assessment increases. So I just wanted to read that into record. It was just given to me today.
Thank you. I need a motion to accept the Port LaBelle Street Lighting MSBU.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Iglesias, second by Commissioner Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We in G, North LaBelle MSBU.
Yes, Chair, these are the proposed amended assessments for the North LaBelle MSBU, 2023, 2024.
And Madam Chair, I have spoken with Mr. Parker. We've talked about this area and the need to make some improvements in drainage and some other things that need to go on in that area. So I really support moving this to the
Second.
our value.
Motion by Commissioner, I'm sorry, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? Motion by Commissioner Howard, second by Commissioner Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. We are now in the Phillip Road MSBU.
Yes, Chair, this
I got
item is for
several
the
mad about this, but I motion to approve.
Second.
May save you some time.
It's a public hearing. Anyone wishes to speak at this time?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner, this is the one that we instituted based off of a number of people that came to a board meeting. One of those emergency repairs, we made it happen, and now we have the MSBU that's created so that we can move forward with that and pay that back, get that going. I think it's a great idea of the county proactively engaging something, and so if you need us to chat with somebody.
Life safety concerns going in that area.
Absolutely, we had life safety, we had mail issues, we had garbage issues, there was quite a bit of safety issues. They're gonna move the mail out by the road, garbage out by State Road 80, and that's the last thing you wanna do is put people out there, so, yes, sir, that's exactly what it is.
Motion by Commissioner Will, second by Commissioner Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
It's a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? Motion stands. Okay. Country Village.
Item I is the proposed final assessment resolution for Country Village MSBU, Chair.
I also
I'll
need
make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Glacier, second by Commissioner Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public wishes to speak at this time? You good? Okay.
Madam Chair.
It's- Which one's you talking about, Phillip Road?
Madam Chair.
You come to the,
I'm sorry. My name is Alfredo Gomez. Thank you for your time. Like the lady here, I live right in front of her, and every year the millage goes up. They're raising the taxes, and every time it rains, I pray that it doesn't rain hard. When it rains, we get all flooded. She could tell you. They don't do any work. They cut the grass like 3 times a year, and that's it. Maybe 4. That's it. So I would like to know to know where my taxes are going. And I work hard like 7 days a week to pay my land. I already paid it, and now I'm suffering just to pay my taxes.
So one of the things that was presented to the board was to put something in writing to show
Okay.
where the funds are going. That's one of the.
All right, I
requests.
just want to make known that
Yes,
I'm here for that same reason.
thank you so
And I
much.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I'm a little bit out of order, but
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you, if you can, fill out that card for me, just so she will have it? Thank you, I appreciate it.
Senor
Thank you.
Gomez, what is your address?
1901 Alton Farming Road.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak? All MSUBUs have been passed. We're going on to staff report. Mr. Matt, you still there?
Chair, this is a
Look, can I
board
just,
approval for
can I
the,
boil this down? We don't want to have to allow the state of Florida and/or anyone to dictate to us as it relates to PACE. This is towards PACE, correct, sir?
Correct.
Mr. Rollerson, what you have right now is I don't want to provide board direction. I think you know exactly where we stand on this, and I don't want to have something forced down the constituents' throats that, I'm sorry, but I think this is something where they could prey on people. So you feel confident with what we have here, let's pass this and move forward, and then I think we need to challenge each other to support this in a fact conversation as well. Thoughts, Mr. Rollerson?
I think that this, so there are several counties in active litigation with PACE. They take the legal position that they are a local government. They're entitled to operate in all 67 counties.
PACE takes the
PACE
position.
does.
Yes, sir.
And we've sent cease and desist to the financing companies as well as PACE. The tax collector has as well. So we're kind of approaching this on all fronts. We like to get legislative clarification. That's what this part is.
Yes, sir.
So that at least prospectively going forward, there's clarity about the authority to operate in our home rule county with respect to this program.
Yes, sir. So I will make a motion to support the proposed policy legislation, and let's engage that conversation on a fact level.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I will say that I met with the president of the Florida Bankers Association the other night at Byron Donald's thing last week, and he says that Y-Green, they're pushing hard to push this issue up in Tallahassee, so the lobbyists are going to come out strong this year.
To stop it because of its ability to put another mortgage on a home, and
No,
they're
no,
and they're first
Y-Green
in
is
line.
one of the biggest PACE providers.
Okay.
So they're going to
So they're going to fight against it to be able to move it forward.
That's right.
It seems like that's the tea leaves that I'm seeing as well, Commissioner
Yeah,
Iglesias.
but my thing is, as far as you think about the Florida Bankers Association and every bank
Thank you.
within the United States, if not all of Florida, should be fighting this. So I think we'll prevail, but it should be our decision, not the state's.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we already voted on it. Motion passes. Thank you so much, Mr. Matt. Shane, you up?
Yes, ma'am. For the record, Shane Parker, County Engineer.
Is this just the purchase?
Purchase of a lot to complete the
I'll make a
lots
motion
we already own.
to execute that agreement.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. Thank you. Before we go to old business, we failed to take a picture with the representative from Harry Chase.
Janet
And-
Pepinall.
Yes, and I'd like to do that. I apologize for that.
They wanted me to sing a song.
And it's all right if you do, you know.
Well, after the meeting, we'll allow you to sing as much as you want. We may not be here.
Down by the river far.
So it's
I
not,
can come back up there.
what?
Right out here up front, Ms. Pepinall.
We don't need this. We'll just take the picture. We don't, because it's not sealed yet, but we'll make sure you get this, okay? If you just. I have nothing to do with that. Look, watch your mouth.
But I need
It's
one,
never
right?
been used.
Okay, but you can, if you're holding your hand and let them see it.
Give me that hat, Miss Papino. We'll rock it.
Carson said he'll rock it.
You might not want that hat back.
I don't think you're getting this one back.
He looks like a Florida Gator over there.
Yes. Oh, well, I thought.
Oh, Lord.
Go ahead.
Great.
Give the you for
Put
me,
those hands
Commissioner Williams.
Haters.
So when they finish, they'll get this to you, Ms. Jane. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Papino.
Thank you so much. Thank you for waiting. I appreciate it.
And it's good to see you, Miss Papino, again. I miss you at the county.
If I stayed here, I thought.
Enough.
Yeah, right? A little.
Thank you so much. Is there any old business? Okay. This is a public hearing. Once again, anyone from the public wishes to speak at this time? I know it's like a radio, right? But that's the truth of it. So thank you so much. At this time, we're going to buy business by district.
A couple things. I'd like to congratulate Ryan again on becoming planner. Your professionalism tonight and throughout this whole process of the land use study is a complete different experience than the first land use study that I was part of in my campaign mode and then after being elected. And that's the reason why you've been promoted. So congratulations, Ryan. So I was given that paper on 7021 Ramrod Circle about the lighting. What is that process? I'm assuming county staff doesn't look at the lighting at night to see if it's working. Is that an FPL responsibility? Is that the county responsibility? Twice a year? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna look through that neighborhood at night. I'm going to fact conference. I gotta figure out when I can get it done, but anything that's an FPL light it'll look a certain way and it's got a number on the bottom of the light, correct? Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Iglesias, if I could just suggest to you, asking engineering to give you a GIS, an aerial that shows it, it made me take years off my life because I did the same thing. I tried to decipher, and it just becomes so confusing. And in my district, just as some areas of yours, you actually have a glazed electric light.
Correct.
Some people will purchase a private light. You know, they're paying for a security light as well. And then you have some people that are, you know, they're just blessed because they happen to be in a high volume area. So Florida Power Light or Glazed Electric will just put one up. So I think it would be best if you let them
Yeah, if
prepare
you
that
get
for you,
Steven to
boss.
send that to me, please, I appreciate it, and I'll get with Danny. That's
Yes,
all.
ma'am. I'll stay with Ryan, and again, congratulations on your promotion, well-deserved. I would like to ask you a question about where we are with the boat ramp parking. Can you kind of give us an update?
For the record, Ryan Alexander, Director of Planning and Community Development. I've been working with County Administrator, and we're going to be meeting with representative from South Florida Water Management District, and we're still working on that piece of it for a proposal that will come back to the board at the next meeting. As far as the parking goes, are you just asking if we've done anything?
Remedies.
We're still working through it. I have a couple of solutions that I've been putting together, and we have a meeting again that we'll be following up and putting some of those solutions and trying to find something that sticks.
Okay, and I'm following up because I've had, again, more
More
constituents
complaints?
calling.
Okay. And it's, is it, do you feel like it's just on the weekends or?
Yeah,
Okay,
primarily.
primarily weekends?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Commissioner, Wells, it's all week, right?
You're gonna get it right one day.
I just can't help it, I'm sorry. You're not Herbert. What can I
know
say?
that. Yeah, same thing. Shane kind of took a little tour today, looking out where they've been doing the work. The guys are doing a really good job. I know it's a long process, and there's a lot of work being done there. Several people have inquired, when's it gonna be done? I said, when it's done. We have the same issues everyone else does, getting the materials, getting the people, getting the staff, getting the equipment, so I haven't put any time on that. I've been asked a lot again. I just tell them when it's done. When it's done, you'll know the signs will be out of the road. You can drive right through there. Ryan, congratulations on your position. Ever since you've been here, you've been an outstanding employee, so we appreciate your professionalism and all that you bring to Hendry County. So thank you for being a part of the team. I know we got some issues. We talked about drainage and different stuff a little bit tonight. There is still some that, we gotta fix, but I believe the one question I have is, we talked last time about the property over on 78. Did we ever purchase that behind the store there where we could actually get in there and work on that section behind, just adjacent to Nobles Road? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir, we did. We got that. We actually got that. We actually bulldozed the trailer down, cleaned it all up, and that's why we proposed raising assessment in the North LaBelle MSBU, so we can actually move forward with doing a restoration project on that bank to prevent erosion.
Okay, very good.
We're going to go from 78 to the Glades County line.
Right, okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. That's all I have, Ms. Bird.
Commissioner Turner?
Ms. Bird, just before we adjourn, Mr. Gomez kind of felt he was out of line in his comments. And I think none of us feel that way. I love this board. And I just want to make sure that, Ms. Mavis got up and spoke. I know it's a little bit intimidating to some people, but don't feel that way. And always feel free to grab us by the arm and pull us off to the side prior to or post, and let's engage a conversation. And we will do everything in our power to bring staff to the conversation and work with you all. Just fair warning, we are getting ready to adjourn this meeting. If there's anybody that wants to address this board as it relates to something towards budget or anything, obviously you've heard the decisions have been made, but we're still here to hear and engage in a conversation and try to bring resources to you all. So I want to commend the county administrator again. I think this has been one of the smoothest budget processes that we've had, and I'm excited to see how the sheriff is going to engage the new head count. And I think what our sheriff did with making that request and then working with our staff to make sure that request comes online so that it's more manageable fiscally and also allows them the time to embrace that. I think that just speaks such volumes to what we're trying to do here in this county. So I'm really appreciative to Sheriff Steve Whidden, Chief Deputy Nelson, and all of their staff. I really appreciate them doing that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have another speaker. You can come up now. If you would come to the podium for me, please, and then state your name.
Hi there. Hi, my name is Suzanne Harper. I live at 14825 Center Avenue, and I don't have anything for you to vote on tonight. I just brought some things to your attention that I thought you might look into. Like the other people that have commented tonight about the property appraiser's office and the changes that they've been making in that office on our appraised values of our property. I've been trying to make heads or tails of what they're doing, and I did a trim comparison of within a mile of my home for you all, and I made a copy to give to all of you of different properties around me to show you what I'm talking about, that it's very difficult to figure out exactly why or what's going on with the values that they're setting for the land values in our area. And because recently I had to sell, I didn't have to, I wanted to, sell 20 of my acres, of my 49 acres, which I did, so that we could pay our taxes for one thing, be able to pay our taxes, be able to take care of everything, because we are retired and on a fixed income. So you need, after a while, with the things costing so much these days, you've got to do something to keep alive and keep moving. And I did sell a small piece to a young man who came to me wanting to be a part of our lives, which was a good thing. He was someone that grew up here in Clewiston, was raised here. He actually is here with his wife tonight, Ryan, and his wife, Chrissy Luther. And they wanted to get their cattle business going. And I sold them 20 acres and said, here's a start. We'll see what we can do. And we organized a co-op of all the neighbors so that we all work together, sharing our land to make sure we all do the right things for maintaining good practices for cattle operations or whatever other kind of things that we decide to do. And I also ventured into the bee business by sheer accident. One day I went out and the barn was full of bees, right? So I ended up getting really excited after I brought somebody out to get the bees out of my barn. And he got me really, hooked on bees. And so I started a bee operation in 2022 on my property. And I read all the instructions and filed all the things you needed to file, paid everybody that needed to be paid to get started in a business, and did that. Well, this year we got, after I sold the property, which was at the end of the 22, and formed this co-op with everybody and Brian, and we've been running the same cattle we've always been running on the property, and had the bees going, and my donkeys and my cats and my dog, everybody's cats and dogs, and neighbors too, and coyotes and wildcats and everything else that lives out there where we live in the swamps. And I got a notice from the property appraiser. I submitted all my paperwork to the county asking for my exemption, thinking I needed to reapply for my agricultural exemption, which I got approval of it after the first of the year in January. And then about March, I started getting calls from the property appraisal office saying they were going to come out and inspect. Okay, that's fine, come on out. If I'm home, fine, we'll let you in. So they came, but we weren't home. Then they came back, and they said they were coming. I said, well, I don't think I'm going to be home, but Ryan will be here. And he let them in, showed them around, let them take pictures, and they left. And everything was fine. Sometime in May, I get a call from Dina, the property appraiser. And she says, you got a building on your property I need to see. What do you mean I have a building? What do you mean I have a building on my property you need to see? I said, there's nothing on my property that isn't on the brand new survey you have in your hand. And I said, but you're more than welcome to come out. And I scheduled a date for her to come out. Well, that very night, or the night before, that was 2 days before when we were sick. We both were, my husband and I were both, he was sick, but he got real sick, and I had to take him to the hospital early in the morning on the day she was supposed to come. I called their office and told them I was not going to be there. Well, that's fine. I said, I'll call you later when I get back. Well, he was in the hospital for about 5 days, and we couldn't meet with her. Well, that's fine. Well, I get a call back from her sometime later, or I called her back to find out what was going on, the end of June, in June sometime, and said, we've spent so much, and then we got the COVID after that. After he got out of the hospital, he got the COVID, then he got the shingles, and it's been one thing after another. It's ongoing. And by the way, it's my husband's 77th birthday today, and he is a retired veteran, okay?
Thank you for your service.
And also Ryan is a disabled veteran from the Air Force as well.
Thank you for your
So,
service.
yes, we understand about the veteran situation, but she started with telling me that I was trying to avoid. I said, ma'am, I'm not avoid. I have no reason to avoid you, but I don't have a building on my property. Well, I want to come out and see it. Okay, that's fine. Come on out here. Bob and I went up to her office. I said, show me what you're talking about on your aerials. She showed me what looked like, what didn't look like a building. It was like a shadow of an area where we had one of these roof cover things. At one time, there was a roof there with picnic tables where we had our picnic area. Way far back on the back end of our property, but we had long taken it down before 22, before 23. And she's like, well, I want to come out there and see for myself. I said, come on. So she came out again, and she walked around. She drove past the cows and the donkeys and all the animals, and rode past all the 32 beehives that are out there. And she still said, I'm not convinced. And she walked all through the forage, the hay fields that we have out there, the pastures. And she says, I'm not convinced. And she said, I'll be in touch with you. And that was the last I heard from her until I wrote her a note and said, what's going on, And I got a note today, and I am working with Nick. What's Nick's name?
Tanner.
Nick has been answering the questions I've been asking about everything. And I did schedule with the VAB for a hearing if we can't work this out.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want the people here to know that I understand where you're coming from, because I'm right there with you, okay? But there's something wrong, because I cannot make the numbers add up on these trim notices and on I looked at every single piece of property, tried to add up, get the numbers to add up and come out to something. Normally, they will add up, but not on my piece of property, they don't. I cannot, even after Nick has done some adjusting, which I've still had more questions about, because I still don't understand how they're arriving at the determinations that they're coming to, because it hasn't really been that explained. So I'm still waiting for an additional explanation on that.
You do have a right to go
I do.
back, and I advise you to go back and sometimes we settle. Don't settle. Don't settle.
I don't,
If you
believe
feel
me.
like that it's wrong, don't settle. Go back and let them explain to you.
I
you
am
know,
in-
and file a petition against it. Just don't give up. And because she's a property appraiser, she might have made an error, but she
I
do
know,
have
that's what I
standards that
figured.
she have to go by. But at least give her the opportunity to sit with her and let her go over step by step with you.
Well, we did go to her office, my husband and I both went to her office to ask her, what's going on, why is this? And she didn't really, all she wanted to say was, you're avoiding me and I want to see this, and that's all she would say. She didn't really explain anything about what the values were, how they were establishing the values, or how they were coming to the conclusions that they were coming to. All I know is that this man next to me bought a piece of property for a lot less than what she's evaluating it at. So he's here he wants to know, would you like to ask him what you'd like to know? Ryan? Let Ryan speak for himself.
And we kind of going over our minutes. We try to respectfully give
I know.
everybody 3 minutes, but we want to make sure that we get people out, but give them space. Please
I'll sign
state
the
your
card,
name
right?
for me.
My name's Ryan Luther. I'm at 14900 Center Avenue.
Thank you.
And as Susie said, I didn't plan on speaking, but I did buy property, and my assessed value is almost $100,000 over what I bought the property for. And I know my other neighbor, Brian Sisk, is selling a 10-acre property. He's had it listed for $150,000 for 4 months. It hasn't sold, and his assessed value is $183,000. So I haven't crunched the numbers like Susie has, and thank you, Susie, for doing all that work. But it does seem something is amiss, and and I know that property values fluctuate, but I mean, I think that the taxes should be on the safer side of that, so that you're not overpaying for what your actually property value is. So
As a board, Matt, is there anything that we could do? I mean,
No.
there's nothing we could do as a board.
This is
It's-
a conversation that is, in my opinion,
that have to come through the.
Listen, I understand people's frustrations, I understand it. The concept of a constitutional officer just, being, I don't know, they have to engage everyone just like we do. And so I would just challenge you all to go to the property appraiser and have a face-to-face conversation with that particular person or whoever they assign you to visit with within staff. Unfortunately, this happens sometimes. I've been on this dais since '08. I've been in this room every budget cycle since '06. And this is the most I've seen, like this, at this level. But I think that, you all have questions and concerns, but we're not the entity to engage that, not because we're trying to avoid it or say this is not in our realm, but it's not. It's just, it's the assessed values or what they are. The property appraiser engages that process. And then the rules of what the Florida state statutes allow for from a standpoint of increases and how that all plays out with Save Our Homes and homestead exemption and all of that, those are kind of hard and fast as well. I don't know if y'all like to add anything to that, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I sort of have a question, and being a new kid on the block, I'll pose this back to Mr. Robertson and Mr. Davis, but there seems to be a common thread tonight with folks not understanding that they have an appeal process, that they're not stuck where they are, and that's how they are feeling at this time. And is there a reason or
I don't mean to cut you, only way they are gonna find us what you just said is to do the appeal and go, and they have to go in and go step by step, because if they don't understand, she's the one, or that office is the one that's gonna be the one to enlighten them.
And you have on your trim notice, it states, you have till September the 15th to file for the Value Adjustment Board, which is very important, so.
You already
Okay,
filed,
but Ryan, I'm
okay.
thinking about Ryan.
And I'll yield back to Susie, but one question I had when I was sitting listening to everybody is there any city or county advisory services or legal services for folks that aren't familiar with this process and are trying to fight for,
So
Hendry
won't
County
say there's
doesn't
a
offer anything.
committee, but, Dina has had 2 meetings in LaBelle and 2 meetings in Coulson. They weren't very well attended. As a matter of fact, their last 2, no one showed up. Kind of like what Commissioner Turner was saying, she just doesn't come up with these numbers and just take it or leave it. I mean, there is a process through the Value Adjustment Board, but that being said, she's only able to do what statutorily she's,
Understand that.
allowed to do, so.
I understand that.
Florida Rural Legal Service entity that I don't know if they would handle these types of issues, but that is something that we can get information about and see, and you can call and see if they can assist with these type of legal issues. I don't know, but that's the only other resource that I'm aware of.
And then the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, so although you paid a great price because Ms. Harper wanted to work with you or whatnot, I think it's based on the average of what land sales are going for. Yeah. So I hate to tell you, but land sales, and I can tell you the houses have been selling in Coulson that aren't worth half what they're being paid for, but people are coming in here with money, and some of them, many are locals, but the reality is.
And I think there is, but once again, I'm completely speaking out of turn, this is ignorance. I think there is a circle, if you will, that says, okay, we're not gonna leave. It has to be a comparable that makes sense.
Gotcha.
It doesn't make sense to compare a home on the ridge or, something in Tropical Home Trailer Park if you're on Center Ave or, Ladika Ave. I think that it has to be kind of regionally based towards that area. But don't take that to the bank. That's once again a question that should be asked directly to the horse that is engaging in that process.
I've been asking, I saw where, in doing this comparison that I did for y'all, that the property values, when I looked at each one of the lands, have gone up 700, just the base that she uses went up $700 over last year, or $7,000 over $700 over last year. It was 17.3, it went up to 18 as the base for this year. And then she also added another 4% on top of that. And I'm like, how does that work?
I can't speak to this because I don't know what base we're talking about. I don't know if it's 17% on 100,000 at 17,000, or if we're talking 17,000 on
the land
50. I
values,
don't know. No, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is I don't know where the bottom is at.
Yeah,
So
I don't
I
either.
can't look at it from a percent standpoint, but there should be one. I mean, it's gonna come out in black and white numbers. You're gonna be able to what the percent increases are. We're gonna know what it statutorily can do. Y'all, correct me if I'm wrong. It's a 3% cap on a homestead property. Is that not correct? Or am I just making this up and I've dreamt this
Bill,
through a number of legislatures?
agriculture is not, there's only a portion of our agriculture that's homesteaded.
Okay.
It'll be like one acre.
Yes, ma'am.
house, But the rest of it is agriculture.
Okay.
And what she has done is she has removed the agricultural exemption based on coming out there being mad because I wasn't there the last time, or saying that I'm avoiding her, and telling me that she's pulling my agricultural exemption. And I'm like, wait, there's something wrong with this, you know?
So I didn't hear that earlier. I didn't know that
because
the
I
ag
didn't say
exemption
it.
had gotten
I didn't
removed.
want to say it, but I did say it because you don't, you're not getting the whole picture here.
Yes, ma'am. And that's the problem with us. This is what we get. It's just like the previous speaker. We get just a microcosm of what it is. And Ms. Harper, please don't take any offense to what I'm saying. I respect you to the nth degree. But it's hard for us to sit up here in a vacuum, you know what I mean, and try to answer that question tonight.
Well, I don't want to say
No,
anything
ma'am.
bad about Miss Dina, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I don't want any more pain than I've already got.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah, that's, but there is something, if you look at, just looking at the numbers without me telling you what my pain is.
Yes, ma'am.
Should be enough to explain to you.
Well, the ag
there's
exemption,
something
right
wrong.
there. I mean, that's the trigger that we just heard. So
Something to
on the
explain.
previous one, it was the other shelter being added. I mean, that's easily what that is on there. And I would love to know, venture in, yeah, so. Yeah, yes, sir. So,
So we appreciate your time tonight.
No, thank
Appreciate
you.
y'all
Allowing me
coming.
to Speak at the last minute.
Thank you
very
so much. And
I
we-
don't think it fit in with all the other categories, and thank you for Brian for being here also, and appreciate all you're doing for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, bye-bye.
We just thank everyone for coming out and sharing, because some things we can fix, some things we can. This is not one that this is not one that can fix it. But we do ask that you go back and revisit. Please go back and revisit. So thank you. Ryan, congratulations to you. I'm enjoying working with you. Thank you for all that you do. It's well fit, so thank you. I do appreciate it.